I want you to assess. I want you to assess, where can I optimize? So maybe you're posting online, but how can you optimize that? Because with anything and everything, there's an ability to optimize. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Charyse Williams Show, the only podcast created for the highly conscious, high-impact nurse turned entrepreneur looking to create, launch, and scale a wildly profitable holistic health and consulting business from a place of ease and flow. So, you guys, I am so excited to bring this message to you today. And I will just share with you, I pretty much have this conversation. I feel like I've had this conversation at least once a week with my clients. And so I thought, you know what? Let me share it with all of you. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you visibility, 5 ways that you can increase your visibility online. Now, in case you're wondering, why is this important? Well, only because there's about 4 billion people online at any given time. I mean, that's pretty important, right? So if for whatever reason you have not been marketing your business online, this is 2023, so I can't imagine, but I'll just say, if for whatever reason you have not been, you are missing a huge opportunity, an enormous opportunity to connect with your ideal client, to build your business astronomically because of social media, because we are connected. Like, it's not a matter of, oh, they're not located in my city, in my town. No, you have the whole world at your fingertips, which is so beautiful. Okay. And I'm going to share with you 5 ways, because I don't want to overwhelm you. These 5 ways to increase your visibility are in no way, shape, or form. This is an exhaustive list. And I also just want to share 5 ways because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Okay. So what I do want you to do is, as I'm sharing each of these, I want you to assess. Where can I optimize? So maybe you're posting online, but how can you optimize that? Because with anything and everything, there's an ability to optimize. Okay. So, and I also don't want you, as I share all 5, I don't want you to freak out and think, oh my God, I got to do all 5 today. No, don't do that. Start with 1. Once you get into the routine and the rhythm of it, add on 2, and then 3, and the same thing. If you're already, if when I'm going through this list, you've already, you look, you hear it, and you're like, oh yeah, check. Okay, not that one, but check. So if you're doing 3 out of the 5, great. Again, optimize those 3, and add on the 4th. Then add on the 5th. Okay. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. This is definitely something that I teach inside of my private mentorship, as well as the Prosperous Practitioner program. So if you need help in this area, I definitely recommend reach out for sure. So number 1 on my list for today, in terms of ways to increase your visibility, is posting content consistently with a call to action. Okay, so maybe you're posting consistently, but you don't have a call to action at the end. You're missing a huge opportunity if that's what you're doing. And when I say posting consistently, I'm not meaning post your puppy and what you ate for lunch today. No, we want to make sure that you are posting compelling content, right? We want to make sure that you are posting value-driven content. One thing that I know for sure, for a fact, with us as clinicians, whether you're a nurse practitioner, DNP, MD, you know some things. You're freaking brilliant, and you love to teach. You love to teach things, maybe not in a formal setting, maybe not in a formal setting, but you love to share information. So that is what you're posting. That's what I'm talking about when I say posting consistently, okay? Not posting every day about your dog, right? So sharing, educating, value-driven content, right? And not just generalities like, oh, by the way, one of the things you can do to get healthy is, no. It's important that you've identified who your ideal client is, right? Because you want to be speaking directly to your ideal client. So whether you are yes, holistic health is your thing. Maybe you focus on gut health. Maybe you focus more on hormones. Perhaps you focus more on, like, for instance, most majority of my clients are have type 2 diabetes, or they're pre-diabetic, or they have hypertension. Okay, so the content that I put out uh, is going to speak to them specifically. Okay, yes, we now understand that gut health has a to play in pretty much every disease process. Yes, that's a given. But again, if that is your sole focus, if your sole focus is working with people with gut issues, okay, then speak their language, speak to that, educate them around all of that. Again, hormones, weight loss, maybe weight loss is your thing. Maybe, and again, maybe it's diabetes or hypertension, whatever the case may be, but you're educating them. The content that you're putting out is around that. And so you want to have a nice blend of value-driven content, and always with a call to action, and then also a direct offer. So what does that look like? So your direct offer might look something like, let's say, for instance, you are posting about hormones. Excuse me. Maybe you're posting about hormones, right? Posting something about hormones. You're educating them about hormones. Pick something. Bite-sized pieces. Bite-sized pieces. Don't try to blow their mind with all of your, 20 years of experience and 8 years of college. No, bite-sized pieces. One little piece, right? How it ties together with this piece, and that's it. And then your call to action for a direct offer is, if you are experiencing the above, or if this resonates with you, or if you want to have a deeper conversation about whatever you just mentioned, send me a DM. Click the link to my calendar. Make sure you add the link to your calendar. Drop an emoji below. One of the three, not all three of those things, right? So just pick one direct call to action. And, I have to say this. Do not, oh my goodness, do not, and I know that I say this probably every week to my clients, do not get caught up do not get caught up on the vanity metrics. Don't get caught up on the vanity metrics. That's how many likes it got, how many comments it got. No, don't do that, because that's going to drive you nuts. Your goal is not to go viral. Your goal is not to be an influencer, right? Unless it is, but for most of us, that's not our goal. Our goal is to connect with our audience, which is a very specific audience, right? It's people who have adopted the mindset of holistic health, right? So, and of healing their bodies naturally, or at least partially naturally, in some capacity, right? So you're talking to a very, very specific audience, right? And so don't again, your goal is not to go viral, not necessarily, unless that is, but probably not. So make sure that you're not getting all emotionally attached to the metrics. Well, let me tell you, most people, and I just want you to even look at yourself. I want you to assess your own behavior. When you are on social media, when you are on Facebook, or maybe you're on TikTok, or maybe you're on Instagram, and you're scrolling, you're laying in bed, you're scrolling, something makes you stop the scroll, which you want your content to make people stop the scroll, right? Something makes you stop the scroll, you look at it, you read it, you listen to it, ha 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 ha, ha, great, and you keep scrolling. How many times do you, not that it didn't resonate, it resonated enough that you stopped your scroll, you read it or you listened to it. You may have read or listened to it more than once. And then you just moved on to the next thing. You didn't like it, you didn't heart it, you didn't leave a comment. Right? That doesn't mean that you weren't interested. That just means that you just didn't engage with the post. Don't make that mean you did it wrong. Don't make that mean anything, really. Okay? Okay, and I can't emphasize this enough, because, like, again, I have this conversation with at least one client a week. Well, no one engaged with my post. Keep posting. Do not let that deter you. You keep showing up. You keep giving value. You keep speaking to your ideal client. You keep using your authentic voice, meaning if there is something that may not necessarily be mainstream that you are passionate about, you say that. Because there is nothing more powerful than you speaking with conviction and posting with conviction around a certain topic. Because what it's going to do is it's going to magnetize, it's going to attract in hyperspeed your ideal client to you, and it's going to repel people who aren't resonant with that message. And that's perfect. That's you want your messaging to be so on point that it attracts your ideal client and repels everyone else. And for some of you, you might think, what? Why? Because you're not for everybody. And that's okay. There is someone for everybody. So for those of you who are like, but wait, I want to help everybody. There is someone for everyone, but you're not for everyone. Trust me, everyone will be taken care of in some way, shape, or form. Not by you. You are here. You're on a mission for a specific audience, and that's perfectly fine and acceptable and expected, in fact. Okay, so just relax and just know that everyone will be taken care of in the manner in which they need to be taken care of. Okay, I want to give you an example of this because I throw it out there every so often. One of my conviction posts is, if you're on high blood pressure medicine, and I switch. I go between high blood pressure medicine or diabetes medication, but the sentence is the same. If you're on high blood pressure medication, if you've been on high blood pressure medication for over 5 years, you're doing something wrong. Sometimes I say over 2 years. For over 2 years, you're doing something wrong. If you're on diabetes medication, if you're type 2 diabetic and you're on the diabetes medication, and it's been over 2 years, you're doing something wrong. Now, what does that do? Let me tell you, it raises a whole lot of eyebrows, particularly since a lot of people on my feed are nurses I used to go to school, nurses that I used to work with, nurses I went to school with, doctors that I worked with, right? And they're like, what are you talking about? My patients, once you're on metformin, you got to be on metformin forever. No, you do not. That's why clients come to me, so they don't have to be, right? And we reverse, we put their diabetes in remission. Absolutely. We reverse their hypertension. Absolutely. Okay. But let me tell you, that is like, what is it? Honey, how's it go? Honey to whatever attracts, whatever. It attracts people. It attracts people to me like, what are you talking about? How do I do that? Oh my God, I would love to know more. Perfect. Mission accomplished. And yes, it also attracts people. Why are you saying that? That's ridiculous. You're not my people. It's all good. Not a problem. Okay, so again, it's going to help you attract your ideal client. So don't be afraid to speak and let me tell you, the more non-vanilla, I see a lot of content out there and it's like so vanilla, which means that you're one of many. You're just in the mini pile. You don't want to be in the mini pile. M-A-N-Y, not M-I-N-I. Mini. You want to be in a category of one. All right. So claim it. Be in a category of one. But in order to be in a category of one, you've got to speak your mind. You've got to speak with conviction. You've got to post your truth. And that'll attract your clients to you. Okay. All right. So that's visibility. Number one. Don't get caught up in the vanity metrics. Assess your own activity. I want you to pay attention to how many things you scroll past, stop, read it, and then keep scrolling without any engagement at all. The same thing will happen. I have to tell you this story really quickly. I had a client just enroll with me 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. I didn't know her. She said, I asked her, I always ask people, like, how did we connect? How did we connect initially? And she said, I've been cyber stalking you for 18 months. I'm like, oh, really now? Okay, thanks. 18 months. She never popped up on my radar. Why? She never liked or commented on any of my content on Facebook or Instagram. But yet she was cyber stalking me, in her words, for 18 months. And she signed up. Okay? So keep that story in mind when you are looking at, don't even look at the metrics. I mean, I think metrics are important, but again, don't get so emotionally tied to them, because they really are not a true indication as to who's actually consuming your content. And I will also say most premium buyers are not going to engage. They're not going to engage in your content, but they'll enroll in your program. Okay. All right. Second thing, that was long number one. Second thing, weekly show. This is another way to increase your visibility. So every one of you should have a weekly show that's held in a private container, private environment. So for years, I went live weekly inside of my holistic health and empowerment community with the Eat to Live show, where I would create healthy, healing desserts, breakfast, beverages, like usually within like 15 minutes or less. And that's every week. Same time, Wednesdays, 12 o'clock, Eat to Live show. For years, I did that, right? Now I've switched the format up now, but I want to make sure that you are, and again, it's what is it that your audience needs? What is that your ideal client needs? You're teaching. I'm not saying do a cooking show. That's the approach I decided to take because that's kind of fun for me. And we know that disease actually starts in the kitchen, right? It's what we're putting in our bodies. Well, in our mouth. Okay, that's the route I took. Uh, for some of you, y'all know that I'm a certified raw vegan chef, a raw vegan educator. That's the route I took. That does not have to be your route. What is it that you love? What is it that you can teach on? It doesn't have to be in the kitchen. It could be right here at your desk, at your laptop. All right, 10, 15, 20 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. Go live, same place, same time, inside your community. Because what I like to do, I like to call my Facebook group my incubator. At any point in time, only about 3% of your audience is ready to purchase whatever you're selling, ready to enroll in whatever you're offering. 3%. That means 90% of the people who are consuming, who are in your ecosystem, aren't quite ready yet. But don't just say, okay, bye, see ya. Think of me when you're ready. No, 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 no. Keep them in your ecosystem, nurture them, educate them. So that way, when they are ready, you're top of the mind. Like, oh yeah, I see Charyse every single week. That's exactly who I want to help me with my blood pressure or my diabetes or read my blood work. It's top of the mind, top of the mind. They don't have to wonder like, who does this? No, they know. So make sure that you are doing a weekly show, okay? In a closed container, which would be your community. Add value, add value, add value. And don't forget the most important part. One of the most important parts is at the end or somewhere during your weekly show, you have a call to action. And that call to action is inviting them to your next whatever. So if you have a masterclass coming up, maybe you have open enrollment for a program, whatever the case may be, your call to action is, if you haven't registered yet, drop the word register and I'll send you the link or whatever. Okay. Third thing, so that's the second, that was a weekly show. Third thing, to increase your visibility, you guys, leverage your referrals. These are people who have either attended, maybe they're currently registered for your masterclass, for instance, or your workshop. Maybe they're current clients. They're already excited about attending your workshop or your masterclass. They're already excited about working with you. Ask them who they know and incentivize them. This can or cannot be monetarily. Could be. Many of you know that when I run my Quantum Leap masterclass, making a quantum leap from successful nurse to holistic health coach, if they invite someone who attends that masterclass, if anyone invites someone to attend that masterclass, then I give them $333 they can use towards any of my programs. Okay, sometimes I give gift cards, Starbucks gift cards. It doesn't matter, but incentivize them. Most people want to know what's in it for me, right? Many people just do it just because they're super excited, but it's always nice to have a nice little incentive. So whether that's time with you, so meaning they get 30 minutes, a laser coaching session or some type of consult with you, right? Maybe it's a gift card, Amazon or Starbucks or gas gift card, who knows? Maybe it's X amount of dollars credit towards one of your programs. It could be whatever. Be creative, have fun with it, but incentivize them because they're already excited to be in your space. Otherwise, they wouldn't be your client, or otherwise they would not be attending your thing, your event. All right, so that's number 3. Number 4, engage with the people who are engaging with your posts. Okay, doesn't matter if it is, I don't care if it's 2 people who engaged with your post. So many times we're like, but I want 50,000 people to see my post. Okay, but let's not overlook the 10 people who are seeing it and engaging with it. Okay, so when they comment back, something meaningful, not just thanks, girl. You know, I mean, it can be a thanks, girl, but comment back. And if you really want to increase your visibility, work with the algorithm, right? So when they comment, you comment back and ask them a question, a meaningful question based on whatever whatever they responded with. Ask them a question back. Why? Because guess what? They're going to come right back and answer the question. What does that do? That helps to I'm going to use the word activate, for lack of a better word, the algorithm, and it then helps your content to be shown to more people. because there's engagement, there's continued engagement. So don't just let those comments just sit there. I don't care if it's from your aunt Susan, Aunt Sue, whatever. Say thanks, Aunt Sue. Have you ever had or have you ever tried XYZ? Whatever the post was about. Okay. Again, just it increases the engagement. When you engage, Facebook, Instagram says, oh, people are interested in this. There's movement going on. There's engagement going on. Let's show it to more people. Okay. So engage with and again, don't overlook just the one or two people. If it's one or two people or 10 people or whatever, a small number in your mind, if it's just a small number of people that are engaging with your content, be grateful, engage back, and allow it to grow. Okay. And the fifth thing, and again, this is not an exhaustive list at all, but the fifth thing that I want to share with you today in terms of increasing your visibility is to leverage other people's audience. What do I mean by that? There are other people who have an audience that is made up of your ideal client, right? So who else offers something that you don't offer, but is complementary to what you offer? So for instance, maybe you focus on hormone imbalance, right? Maybe it's something that, like when you think about what else would someone need as it relates to getting the hormones together, let's say fitness. So maybe a trainer or someone into physical fitness and nutrition. Maybe that's part of your program. Like you mentioned it, you coach them, you teach them on that, but it's not something that you directly offer, right? So guess what? Partner with someone who's a personal trainer who doesn't offer what you offer. That's a complimentary service. And I guarantee you, they have someone in their audience. They have probably lots of people in their audience that is also your ideal client. Same thing with nutrition. Of course, I'm sure you're going to teach them. If your focus is hormones, you're going to teach them about nutrition. You're going to teach them, but that's not your thing per se. Find a functional nutritionist or a nutritionist, period. And guess what? Do a podcast guest. If they have a podcast, be a guest on their podcast. Maybe they don't have a podcast. Maybe they have a Facebook group. Be a guest inside their group. I did that for years before I launched this podcast. I would guest in people's groups, or I would guest on their podcast, and then we'd do a switch. I would have them guest inside of my group because I didn't have a podcast to offer, but we'd still do the swap. You can do an IG swap, IG live, right? You go live on their page and vice versa. So IG live, podcast guest, go live inside someone's group. There's so many different ways, right? But you want to get in front of a large amount of people. Otherwise, you're just posting content to the same people every single day, which is important to continue to nurture the people that are in front of you. But what's equally important is to expand your audience. That's why we're increasing your visibility by getting in front of other people, right? Other people's audience who already has your ideal client. Okay. Again, look for something that's complementary. I will never forget one of my clients that signed up with me. This was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was a guest inside of a friend. She was a friend. I was a guest inside of a friend's Facebook group. It had nothing to do with health and wellness. I can't remember exactly what the group was about at this point in time, but she wanted to have a health component, something about just all over women. I think it doesn't matter, but she wanted to have a health component in there. And she knew that my platform was holistic health. So she asked me to come and speak to her group. I actually spoke to them twice. But even after the first time, and this wasn't a large group. It wasn't a large group by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, the Zoom call that I was on, I want to say there was less than 20 women on that call. But guess what? Just from that very first call, one of the ladies that was on the Zoom call joining me inside of my group and enrolled in my program. And not just enrolled in my program, she renewed. I signed up, she enrolled in my 6-month program and renewed for another 6 months and renewed for another 6 months and renewed for a fourth 6 months. We ended up working together for 2 years. It was not a large group. It was not a large group of ladies. Okay. So I don't want you to, particularly if you're just starting out, I don't want you to frown upon, like, oh my God, I need the podcast to be 5 million listeners. I need the group to have 5,000 people. It only takes one. It only takes one to really change the whole trajectory of your business. Okay. So show up, increase your visibility. Okay. And so I'm gonna do a quick recap on ways you can increase your visibility. 1, consistently posting content with a call to action, value-driven content with a call to action. 2, weekly show. Do your own weekly show. Same place, same time. Educate, and always make sure there's a call to action. Invite them to your next X, whatever the X is. Third thing is referrals. People who are already excited about attending your workshop, attending your event, enrolling in your program. Ask them who do they know that would also benefit and incentivize them. Okay. And it doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Just get creative, have fun with it. 4, engage with the people who are already engaging in with your content. How can you ask for more if you're not even engaging with the people that are engaging, if you're not engaging back with the people who are engaging with you, right? So start that engagement. It's going to help and boost you in the algorithm anyway. And then number 5, leverage other people's audience. Okay. So IG lives, podcast guesting, or even guesting in other people's group to add value. You're not going there to sell, to enroll. You're going there to add value. Trust me. If they like, oh my God, I love her personality. Oh my God, I love what she's saying. Oh my God, she's like, totally, that's exactly what I need. Trust me. They will come find you. They will come find you. Okay. All right, you guys. So those are just my top 5 for now. I want you to look at what you have been doing and what you have not been doing, and the areas that you have, the things that you have been doing. How can you optimize them? How can you make them work even better for you? Okay. And then start adding in some of the other pieces as well. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode. I want to go ahead and invite you, if you have not yet registered for the upcoming free masterclass, this is your personal invitation. It is the secret language of blood work that most doctors miss. We're going to be talking about how to make a quantum leap in your holistic health business. We're diving deep into the CBC. Yes, a CBC, and teaching you from a functional medicine lens, teaching you the optimal levels for the CBC and what secret markers you can find in the CBC that's going to help you to help your clients get better faster. So I will drop the registration link in the show notes, and I can't wait to see you there.